Hello, you beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me again, Mikey. And this is my second video of how I install my system whilst doing a re-groom. So I've done a video on how I safely take off my system. I've also done a video on how I tape up my system. And now this is the next step. This is how I get it on my head. So as you can see, I use a anchor piece of tape. So this is just the Ultra Hold because I find it's the best tape. It lasts longest. It really is Ultra Hold. So you can get about between 3 and 4 weeks out of this. I find with this method anyway. If you were just using tape, maybe not. So yeah, so what I do, I put an anchor piece in there, so you'll see what I do in a minute, but it keeps it in place so that when I'm gluing the system, it doesn't move around and it stays in the position that I want it. So before I did that, I used some scalp protector. As you can see, I use a lot of Walker products. To me, they are the best on the market for hair systems and re-grooms. So now, what I need to do is I need to put this in the right position. So remember, I taped it all up. So now what I do, I would put it on. I know it looks ridiculous right now, but trust the process. So what I would do, if you can see, I have a lovely tan line of where my system goes, because I had a nice holiday in the sun. And so now I know exactly where to put it if I just follow them lines. So that's about right. Also, the other way that I do it is when I raise up my eyebrows, I like to have it on my top wrinkle, because then I pull it back and it all smooths it all out. It's lovely. So bear with me one moment while I just position that correctly. Okay, so now I have her basically positioned where I want her. What I'm going to do, I have marked it, but I'm just going to show you again how I would do it. I would just literally just where the front meets, I would put just some markings. I use a brown pencil. I find it easier than using a white pencil. I actually think a white pencil looks a bit, when you glue her down, sometimes you can see the white through it, and I hate that. So I think if I use a brown pencil, it's actually easier to see and it kind of disguises it. So that is attached. Now I have taken off the anchor tape up here, the backing. So now she is on there and she is basically in the right position. I know she looks a bit of a mess right now, but it is in the right position where she needs to be. So this is where it starts to get a bit fun. I now need to pin her back and glue the front. So bear with me again, and I will show you how I do that. Okay, so now that I have glued her, put the glue on my scalp, I will leave that just to do what it's got to do for a minute. Also, I've gone a little bit far down on one side, so I'm going to get rid of that. But what I'm using, because I'm using the Walker Ultra Hold clear glue, I only need one layer. I think a common mistake a lot of people make is that they put loads and loads and loads of it on, and it actually lasts less time. You need as little as possible, actually works better. So that is the front. So as you can also see, where I taped the lace at the front, I also do a layer of glue on that as well. So it's like glue stuck to glue. This is how I find that I get the best wear out of my systems. You might think that it is excessive using 2 different tapes and glue, but I get 4 to 5 weeks out of my re-grooms. So I think that speaks for itself. You know, there may be different techniques in which you can get the same kind of longevity, but this is what I found works for me. So yeah. So next I am going to clean this up and then I am going to put it on. Bear with me. So now what I do is, now that I put the front on, I flip the back, forward, and I would remove all of the tape from the back. So remember, we left these tabs facing upwards, so it was easy to take them off. He says, there we go. It's very difficult to do this looking in a camera. Right, so now that's all off. What I would do, I need to get a mirror to be able to see what I'm doing from the back. So I would do exactly the same. I would put a layer of glue on my scalp and then a layer of glue around the tape as well. Bear with me. And there you go, she is back on, sturdy, she ain't going nowhere. So that is a kind of basic overall of how I do it. It is maybe not necessarily the easiest or the quickest way of doing it, but it's how it works for me.